And that's after 20 minutes of hot soak. Not terrible. I'm not going to lie to you, I had another video prepared for the follow-up on this hot hard start problem, and turned out I made it before I had all my facts, and that's my fault. So that will never see the light of day. Instead, you're going to see this. Here's the deal. As I mentioned in the previous video, I seem to be having a heat soak vapor lock problem. It is July in Florida. It is 95 during the day, and humidity is 9,000%. Absolute worst time to be dealing with heat soak and trying to track it down and figure out what the problem is. As you saw, I did put the... hang on a second. Excuse me. Oh, I don't know where this coughing is coming from. I did put the evaporation canister back in. That catches fumes from the gas tank and from the carburetor bowl vent. Bowl vent? That's a good one. Carburetor bowl vent. There you go. And it's got a vacuum purge line that used to be hooked up to all the emissions. Now, I tried all that and it improved it some. It idled better. I ran it yesterday morning for an hour and 15 minutes, and the idle never changed. It was great. Excuse me. God, getting a little close to lunchtime. Yeah, I'm getting the burpees. Make this quick before I gross you all out. Anyway. Still had a hot start problem. You let it sit for 5 to 20, 30 minutes. Crank, 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 crank. 5 seconds, 8 seconds, nothing. Doesn't even try to catch, doesn't try to start. Same problem as before, except on the second or third crank, after about another 5 to 10 seconds depending, it would actually start. And the idle would be terrible, but you get your foot into it a little bit like I was just doing there, and hold it for about 10, 15, 20 seconds and let go, and everything was fine. I figured it was just the vacuum line pulling the vapor out of the canister and messing with the idle. I also figured it was on a regular manifold vacuum port, which is vacuum all the time, which is not what you want with this. You want to pull those vapors when you're at cruise or above engine speed, like 1,300, 1,500, 1,800 more, because that way it'll mix with the main jet gas coming into the carburetor and it won't hurt anything, and you get to burn off all that vapor and purge the tank. You don't want it purging at idle because all that vapor coming in is going to mess up your idle mixture. So tried that, got a plan. I'm like, okay, we'll go to the parts store, we'll get an 1/8" vacuum tee, and we'll tee it off into the distributor vacuum advance line off the carburetor, which is ported vacuum. What is ported vacuum as opposed to manifold vacuum? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Took me a while to learn. Basically, and I'm not going to go into horrible detail here, but manifold vacuum is vacuum from below the butterfly plates at the bottom of the carburetor. If you've ever seen a bottom of a carburetor that's got two little round sort of plates, usually with a hole drilled in it, not a big hole, and those are your throttle plates. And when you step on the gas, it pushes a rod, pulls a cable, whatever, turns a shaft that those things are mounted to and opens them up. So everything below those plates is manifold vacuum. It's a vacuum in your manifold. That is constant on any port that goes to the manifold. If you have a port that actually comes in above those butterflies, when they're closed, which they are at idle, there's very little or almost no vacuum. This is important. You need that for your distributor vacuum advance because you want to set your initial timing, in my case 8 degrees before top dead center, and you want it to sit there at idle. You want it baseline. You don't want it jumping around. When you start to crack the throttle open and give it a little squirt of gas and it starts to speed up, those plates open, allowing them to access that vacuum in the manifold. So depending on how much those plates are open or closed, it regulates the vacuum. Now, brilliant idea of mine was, okay, get this on a ported vacuum, so that way it won't mess with my idle. It'll only have vacuum when I've got my foot into the gas. It'll put vacuum to that purge line. It'll open a little check valve in the canister, and it'll draw the vapors in at cruise or above. All good. So, that's what I wanted to do today. I actually disconnected the purge line so it didn't draw anything into the carburetor. Went to the parts store, was inside for 5 minutes, came out and tried it, couldn't start it. Jeez. All I can guess is those vapors are coming back up from the canister, from the carburetor bowl vent line. I was running around for an hour this morning before I went to the parts store. I went to the parts store as part of the running around. So it was pretty well warmed up, and like I said, and this was 8:30 in the morning, and it was already 90 degrees down here. So, what are you going to do? So now, I just put that T in there. It's teed off on the distributor vacuum advance. I got ported vacuum on it. What you just saw at the top of this video was running it for about, previously, I was running it for about 20-25 minutes because I was going all over the carburetor settings again. I want to make sure everything was baseline. I was checking the timing again. Make sure it was right on 8. Make sure the vacuum advance was working the way it was supposed to. Put the time light on it. See the mark move when you rev it up. Comes back to 8 when you put it back to idle. Okay, great. Setting the idle RPM at the proper speed, which it wasn't. And I don't know how that happened. It was actually idling at 1500. Funny what you can get used to. The idleness is supposed to be like 850 or 900 at most. Crazy. While I was in there, I decided to recheck the mixture. Now, the base setting on this, you're supposed to run it all the way in, but not super tight. Just lightly seat that. It's a needle on the end of a screw. If you push it too tight, you'll bend the needle and cause all kinds of problems. So, I started running that in, and I don't know how this happened. The mixture screw was out 6 turns. You're supposed to run it all the way in, lightly seated, and then back it out 1 3/4 turns. Holy jeez. Oh. It was like 300+% more idle mixture rich than it was supposed to be. No wonder it was flooding. God. So I actually fixed that at the parts store when I found it. Well, I was waiting for it to cool off because I figured I might as well just, look at it and see what's going on. And I did all the rest of this stuff after I got back here after going to the scrapyard and having it not start on me again at the scrapyard after shutting it down after 10 minutes. I still hadn't gotten the T in at that point, and the purge line was still off. But I got back here, ran it for 20-25 minutes. Still full temp, as you saw. Put the T in it. Went over all the specifications, set the timing, make sure it was correct, did everything the right way, got the idle RPM set up about 900. That's where it seems to like it. It doesn't seem to like 800. Doesn't seem to like 850 much. It wants that extra 50. I don't know why. I'll go with it. And then try, back out that mixture screw to see what it'll do, and then run it in to see what it'll do. You're supposed to set up for the best lean idle you can get. It seems to like 1.5. Okay, we'll go with it. So that's where I put it. 25 minutes of runtime, shut her off, let it sit for 20 minutes. And what you just saw at the top of the video was me starting it back up after 20 minutes of heat soak. Hood closed, hot engine, hot radiator. Not too bad. If it solves most of this problem, I'll be happy. It's summer. I got to consider some things. It's hot. Things happen. It's a carburetor. What are you going to do? Oh, and by the way, just for information's sake, I run 89 octane non-ethanol. I do not put ethanol gas in this truck. I haven't since I did all the fixing. And it seemed to run better on it. So I don't think it's the gas problem, because it's been doing this since I did the desmog, and that, like I said, it was 2 years ago. And the way I usually run this truck, the hot start problem usually isn't an issue. If I go to the grocery store, I'm in the grocery store for an hour. It's got plenty of time to cool down. I come out, it starts fine. It may take a little extra crank, but it always starts. No kickback, no booms, no nothing. But, you know, going to the scrapyard again on a regular basis and parking it and then taking 10 minutes to unload, I need it to start again. I can't just sit there in front of the steel pile, because people are coming and going. I'm in the way. It's a mess. It's embarrassing. I don't need that. And I'm not making enough money to have that embarrassment paid for either, so to heck with it. So we got to get that fixed, and hopefully this is going to be fixed now. I will give an update on it, a short update, after a week or so, and let you know how it's doing. I'll know in a couple of days, so it may not take that long. So we'll see if we actually got this issue solved finally. And hopefully this isn't another premature video. I'm going to post this anyway, just in case I'm wrong, so you can see the progression on it with the next video when I update you. Again, I post my mistakes, I post my jumping the gun, I post my dumb butt, redneck, whatever, just so you guys don't have to go through this nonsense and headache and heartache and stress. If you've got one of these trucks, 75 to 78, it's got the 20R, it's got 4-speed, 5-speed, even an automatic. It's the same truck. It's got all the same emissions stuff. It's got the same fuel pumps, etc., etc. So everything I've done, all the videos I've posted, it will apply to anything between 75 and 78. Some of them even apply to 79 through 81. Some of those have a mechanical fuel pump. Some have a little bit different emissions. Just get the book. Go get the Haynes manual. It'll help you. If you can find a factory service manual, buy it. Look for originals on eBay. They can be a little pricey, but they're worth their weight in gold if you need it. And I wish to God I had one during all this. It wouldn't have been so hard. So, hard-won knowledge, there you go. Again, hopefully, if anybody's looking in the future, I hope this helps you some. If you've got the same problem and you're looking for solutions, just check around on my videos. I'll let you know. Thumbs up, thumbs down, either way. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.